All right, so we are diving deep today, folks.
Yeah.
Into Genesis.
Yeah.
The book of Genesis.
Big one.
It is a big one.
Foundational.
Yeah, for a lot of folks.
Hugely important book.
Really is.
Yeah.
And specifically, we're looking at just a small snippet of it.
Right.
Verses 20 to 23 from the first chapter.
It's just a few lines, but
Oh boy, are they packed.
so much
They're
there.
dense.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the creation of sea creatures and birds.
Right, the fifth day of creation.
Fifth day, yes.
Yeah.
And even just that right there, I think is really fascinating because you're talking about this text that is foundational
Mhm.
for so many different religions.
Absolutely.
And just these few verses that are about kind of listing off animals, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, you'd think it'd be pretty straightforward.
like, okay, these are the things that get made,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much more to it,
Way more to it.
way more to it.
Yeah.
And it goes so far beyond that.
Absolutely. It's not just a biological treatise. It's,
Right.
It's poetry. It's
Yeah.
got this rhythm to it.
It's got this real energy behind it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to kind of kick things off, why don't we actually hear what these verses say?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So this is Genesis chapter 1, starting at verse 20.
Right.
And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful, and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth."
I mean, just those words right there. You get this sense of
An explosion.
just this like abundance,
Yeah.
like this teeming life just bursting
That's
forth.
just a couple of fish here and there.
Right.
You know, let the waters teem. Like,
Yeah.
there's a real energy behind it.
It's like God's throwing a massive party.
Right.
And all the creatures are invited.
Yeah, yeah.
All the creatures are welcome.
And I think for me, one of the things that always kind of gets me is that phrase,
Yeah.
"great creatures of the sea."
Oh, yeah.
Like, what comes to mind when you hear that?
I mean, I think of these like, the giant squid,
Right.
the things that we barely understand.
We only get glimpses of.
Right. We see like washed up on the shore,
Exactly.
these mysterious creatures.
Like these behemoths from the depths.
Yeah, that we can barely fathom what they must be like in their world.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you?
I think for me what I find really interesting is the mystery,
Okay.
because it doesn't give specifics.
No.
It's great creatures of the sea.
Right.
It's not like, and there were whales and there were sharks.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's intentional.
Mm.
I think it's leaving that space for us to fill in the blanks, to imagine what might be out there, to kind of
What?
go explore.
So you're saying it's like an invitation
I think it is.
to discover
Yeah.
and to learn and
Absolutely. And to be awestruck by the sheer diversity
Mhm.
that God brought forth.
And yet within all that diversity,
Mm-hmm.
there's also this order, this structure.
Right.
And we hear that phrase, "according to their kinds," repeated again and again.
Yeah, it's not just like a poetic flourish.
No,
No, it's definitely there for a reason.
Yeah.
Saying something.
It's like God's got his filing system,
Right.
amongst all this teeming life.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to like ancient ways of understanding the natural world.
Yeah.
Right? Like back then, kinds wasn't just about like physical differences. It
Mhm.
was about like the essence of a creature, what made it what it was.
Okay.
And so, it kind of foreshadows these debates that we still have today
Oh, interesting.
about like, how do we define a species?
Right.
Where do those lines blur?
Right.
I don't know.
So they're wrestling with these pretty heady topics.
Back then.
Back then, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. But for me, one of the things that I think really hits home is that after every act of creation,
Mm-hmm.
we hear that line, "God saw that it was good."
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a simple statement, but it's so powerful.
It's so profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. It's like God is placing inherent value
Yeah.
on everything that exists. It's
Hmm.
not just good because it's useful to us
Right.
or because it fits in some grand scheme. It's good simply because it is.
Just because it is.
Yeah.
It's like God looked at it
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "That's good."
Yeah, and I think that has like huge implications for how we view our own role in the world.
Okay.
If creation is inherently good, then our job isn't to like dominate it.
Right.
It's to be stewards of it,
Okay.
to protect and nurture.
To take care of it.
Yeah, that inherent goodness.
And then we get to this blessing.
Right.
This incredible blessing.
Which is so much more than just like some nice words.
No, man.
It's like the engine of creation.
Yeah.
It's what drives it forward.
Yeah. And what does it say?
Be fruitful and increase in number.
Right.
Like God's literally building in this drive to flourish.
To multiply.
Yeah, to expand.
I think that's so cool because if you look back at the very beginning of Genesis, what do we see?
We see this void, this emptiness,
Right.
this nothingness, and then God speaks and creates this abundance of life, this drive towards more life.
It's like a cosmic echo. You know?
It is.
It's like saying this isn't static. This is an ongoing thing.
Exactly. Creation is dynamic.
Yeah.
It's constantly unfolding.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've gone from, giant squid
Mm-hmm.
to taxonomy
It's a whirlwind.
to the meaning of good,
Yeah.
all in just a few verses.
Just a few lines.
So I guess for folks who are listening at home, the big takeaway here is that
Yeah.
this isn't just a list of what got made,
Right.
right? This creation story.
It's about the how.
It's about the how and the why,
Exactly.
about the power,
The order.
the order,
The inherent goodness.
the goodness.
Yeah, that God kind of imbues into everything
Wow.
that exists.
That's really something.
It is.
And I think that's something to think about,
Absolutely.
when you go about your day, look around you.
Yeah.
Look at the birds, look at the fish.
Look at the trees. Even like the smallest little insects, crawling around.
Yeah.
Just kind of think about
Yeah.
what it means to live in a world where even the tiniest thing has inherent value.
Wow.
How does that shape our responsibility
Yeah.
towards the planet
Mm.
and everything on it?
That's something worth pondering, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thank you so much for joining me on this
It's been a pleasure.
this deep dive into Genesis.
Always a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it really is.
Lots to think about.
A lot to think about.
Yeah.
All right, folks, till next time.
Take care. Be good.
Bye. Bye.